I'm going to go live and show you guys a little bit of live sneak peek what we're doing here if you guys want to see. If you can see me and hear me, hit the like button. Give a comment down below in the comment section, but also here in the live chat, tell me if you can see and hear me okay. The current status on the container house. You can see it's very difficult to make YouTube videos these days, but we still try to do it. So go and check out our latest video. And since I made that video, I've been filming. I haven't edited the footage yet. I have all the footage including the roof and the cross bracing and the extension of the deck. And you can see there's a roof on the top there that I just threw up there. You can barely hear me. How about now? Is that better? Anybody in USA? Oh, here, I know what it is. How about now? I think I had a Bluetooth on. Is that better? I know the volume was low, but now I'm talking, and I'm going to see if the volume is good now. Okay, don't comment anymore about how the volume was. Is it better now? I turned my Bluetooth off. Is that better? Okay. This is crazy. I just want you to know I'm getting older, and now I don't know if it's because I know what it is. I'll tell you. I'll talk to myself. Jake. Alternate timeline, Jake. Hi. The older you get and the more you do ancient human things, the more wise you get. Okay, so the more you have kids and the more you get married and the more you have sex and the more you build your shelter and the more you catch your own food and the more you preserve your own food and the more you grow your own food and the more you connect with the animals and the forest around you and the more you free yourself of debt and the more you include family, the more wise you get. I'm talking to myself right now. And the more I'm able to see what I deem as the wrong parts of the world. And I think that we are still in the 1400s, in the 1200s, and we have some sort of alien tech, which is what I'm talking to you on. I don't think we're supposed to have this kind of technology. And I think it's ludicrous. I'm in this forest with my family over there talking to a phone that apparently has 3 million people watching, but I don't know if that's true. Anyway, there's my 2 cents. My mom is visiting, and Nicolle gets some grandma help right now. So I'm going to go live. And plus, I have about 5 days, I think 5 days to do some serious work. And sometimes I'm working alone out here and I get needing some motivation. And when I turn the live on, somehow it kind of stimulates that mojo a little bit. Like if I had a buddy working with me, I would have that same mojo, but I don't right now. So I have the phone. I'm talking to the phone here. It's October and I've got 5 days of guaranteed sun, according to weather satellites. So I have this bottom, it's 2 roofs on the house, okay? Bottom roof, top roof. I threw this top roof on there. This is some inexpensive, low quality roofing that I just threw up there. That's going to go on the boathouse I'm going to build later and the chicken coop. But I have some more of this Pro-Lock higher quality roof coming. There's a barge that feeds the fish farms, and sometimes if you have something, you can kick him some money and he'll drop your pallet of stuff on the beach on his way to the fish farm. That's what's going to happen coming up here in the next few days. So I looked at the weather report, and I have 5 days where it's saying I have uninterrupted sun in October, which is very rare. Now I'm concerned that if I take that cheap roofing off, I threw that cheap roofing up in about an hour and a half at 4 in the morning with headlamps. If I take that off, I'm afraid that rain is going to hit the top and run down the containers, and it's going to run in between. These are 2 containers right here, 1, 2, 1, 2. And it's going to go under this roof, underneath right here. So I threw that cheap one up there, and as soon as I did, it rained for a week and a half straight. So luckily, it protected the new roof, because underneath this roof is and blocking and spray foam insulation. I didn't want to have rain going underneath there. So now in a couple days, I've got the new roofing finally coming, and just as blessings would have it, God has blessed me with a test. Okay, again, I feel like when you get luck or good fortune, it's not actually luck or good fortune. It's God laying down a test for your human existence and seeing if you can do it. And the test is can I, on the mill here, can I mill a lot of these logs that I have set out? Can I mill 40 16-foot? Is that right? Yeah. No. Yeah. Can I mill 40 16-foot 2x6s? And can I mill 40 16-foot 2x4s on the mill? And I think I have enough lumber already felled to do that. So I think that I have to have, I'm guaranteed sun through Wednesday. I'm guaranteed sun through Wednesday. Today is Friday. So if today, if I can mill half the wood, if tomorrow I can mill the other half of the wood, on Sunday, if I could take this cheap, shitty roof off, this roof is done, is great. This roof is temporary. So on Sunday, I take this roof off, and then on Monday, the 2x6s and all the 2x4s, and I start to erect my frame, which this roof, I'm trying to look backwards. This roof, the rain hits it and it runs off the roof and then off the front of the house. But this roof is going to go the opposite way because I didn't want to make this roof drain on this roof, especially when it snows. So this roof is going to be higher here and it's going to drain off the back this way toward the forest. Can I build the frame for this roof on Monday and Tuesday? And by Tuesday afternoon, the new roof shows up. And then Wednesday, when I wake up, it's also going to be sun, but the weather report only is guaranteeing accurate reporting through Wednesday. So it's quite possible Thursday could be sunny as well, which I'm hoping, because now every day that God gives me sun is another day I have to finish the metal portion. So do you think I can do all this in that 5-day period? And every day that it's sunny, if it's sunny Thursday and Friday, that would be fantastic. So I can go a little bit more slow. And when I go slower, I'm safer. I do a better job. And then if I have both of the roofs on, then it's the first time that this house has been 100% free of any kind of rain or moisture. And then I can really dive into the inside. So I've framed a lot of the inside, but I can really dive into it. I can finish the framing on the inside. I can lay some insulation down on the floor, and I can start to mill all the floorboards, the 1-inch or let's say 3/4-inch floorboards for the floor. And once the floor is in, if I could spray foam insulation the walls, and if I can put the floorboards in, and I have the incineration toilet, if that goes in, which is really simple, I already did it before at the Tropical location, then we're moving in. And we'd be moving in October while my mom is here. So everything that I do right now is really, I'm kind of hitting a freeway because when grandma visits, Nicolle has a partner for the 3 kids under 3 years old. And it's just too difficult for me to build fast when it's just Nicolle and I here because I have to break every hour and go help Nicolle. It's too many kids. Yeah, but you're incorrect. Sprouting tree. Spray foam is not crap. Let me explain to you why. I wanted to do no insulation because we've been living 8 years in a yurt where the insulation is that bubble man-made foil stuff that really doesn't do anything. And the wood stove and the fire has been the insulation for us, you know. But I've always wanted to use recycled blue jeans in the insulation. But everything that I have researched says that if you're going to build a home that's going to be multi-generational home, it's going to be there for hundreds of years, if you use the blue jean, first of all, the pink insulation, I'm not going to do that. If you use the rock wool insulation, which is another kind of insulation, rock wool insulation tends to trap a lot of moisture. And recycled blue jean insulation, they take blue jeans and they chop them up into rolls and you can use that. Also attracts a lot of moisture. And I'm in the wettest place on earth. This property and our other property is the wettest place on earth. And that's okay in the tropical place because we have a lot of sun there to dry it out. And that's okay here because we have the wood stove going 9 or 10 months out of the year to dry it out. And I like the wet because it's good for all of my garden and fruit trees. I have no irrigation system, but everything's watered by God. So I like the wet. Spray foam insulation is the only one I could find that would for sure guarantee me a moisture block. And so I was afraid that if I start living in the house, that the condensation is going to wick a bunch of water inside and make all of my wood framing full of moisture and rot. So I'm doing spray foam insulation. The whole project is recycled stuff, recycled shipping containers, wood we've milled ourselves, metal roofing. And the one chemical thing that is not good is the spray foam insulation, but I'm only using 3 kits. So it's 3 kits of spray foam insulation, and that's how it's going to be. Um, I'm also wearing these gloves, okay, that are made of man-made materials. I also have this tractor that's got a lot of man-made materials and uses diesel. I'm also using this mill, which has plastic and has gas. So I didn't sew and weave this shirt myself from scratch. This is a cotton shirt, but it's not, you know, I'm trying to live an off-grid life. And really what we should call our channel is we should call our channel debt-free life, because I feel that if you believe that Buddha was a bodhisattva or Jesus was a bodhisattva that is enlightened, whether it's Son of God or enlightened, and Jesus, Buddha, lives on the earth in order to help others, I believe that my life is going to be to set up my future family. And so I'm trying to do all this stuff very high quality with overbuilding it for strength with what I'm over milling with no debt, so that when I'm done in very short order, my kids can become adults and inherit this place with no debt. That's all I want to say about that. Yeah, I just mentioned, Debbie, about the wool insulation. I can't use it. Yeah, rock wool, they sometimes call it wool insulation. Are you talking about like sheep's wool insulation? I never heard of that before. It's just that, I have the shipping container metal, and then this is inside the house. And if you have the wood frame, I'm going to put wood here for the walls. We're going to have wood, no drywall. We're going to have wood for the walls. And so I have a wood stove on the inside, and I don't want the in-between spot, in between the container and the wood walls, to be getting a lot of moisture to where there's just mold throughout the whole house. So I'm spraying insulation in there to protect the house long term. Anyways, do you think 6 days? So you can imagine this roof 1 is done. This roof 2 is coming off. It's not done yet. Is 6 days enough time to mill all the wood for the frame and then throw the Prolock roof up there by myself in 6 days with no I'll talk to myself again. Jake, there's some craziness going on with you and spirituality and God and things like that. And I really feel the presence of God all the time. And I don't think it's my part to sit around meditating, trying to gain enlightenment. I think that you're in human form on earth for a reason. You're supposed to do a human life, and there's some reason, like once I die, I'll be gaining enlightenment, going back to connection to the Creator. Before I was born, I was connected to the Creator. So there's something about this human life. We're supposed to be born, we're supposed to forget, and we're supposed to work, family, and question and have conflict and pain and pleasure and success in order to gain some kind of experience and insight to give back to everyone. Mojo. I felt drained. Like I didn't have any mojo. At 9 p.m. when it got dark, I had to go out and close up the chickens, and I didn't even want to get up and go do that. But 2 weeks earlier, I stayed up all night, did an all-nighter, and I completed all this roof graveyard shift with lights at night by myself because rain was approaching at 8 a.m. and I was exposed. So it's crazy. Like I get waves of divine intervention that fuel me. Somehow, sometimes somebody pours some high octane, crazy God fuel into my tank, and I am connected to the Creator, and I have work ethic, spiritual connection, mental sharpness, um, and blessings to do a lot of crazy things. And when I'm done, I'm like, I can't believe I pulled that off. And some days I'm like anybody else in the comments here. How do you get motivation? A lot of guys say that. Anyways, uh, I'm just gonna keep this on for a second. Here, let me nail the top off this log. I'll show you how I do it. So right now, you see how I got the log up there, and I lock this guy on. Let's do this here. This is cool too. Like I get all this sawdust that we use for compost and compost toilet, and Nicolle takes the sawdust and pours wax in it and makes little kindling starters. Okay, guys, watch this for a second. Check it out, and give me a chat and a comment and a super chat and a like, and keep watching. We'll come back in a second. All I'm doing now is just trapping it in, like locking the log together so it doesn't roll around. Then I just put a fresh blade on there. These sawmills are really tough. You need to read the Bible starting with the book of St. John. Oh no. Chapter 1 and keep reading it. Okay. Why is that? Tell me why. 2-inch of closed cell foam. That's what I got. I got closed cell foam. Bridget or Brigitte? We are all with you, Jake. Not all of us forget. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that like a lot of my friends, a lot of people that I know have forgotten what happened before they were born and after they die. I'm not even convinced that happens in that order. I'm convinced it's all happening simultaneously. That clocks in future, past, present is just something that we've told ourselves in English. And everything's already happened. And so I feel that a lot of people are going for DMT and for mushrooms and for all these hallucinogenics trying to connect. And I think that the real connection is like, when I die, I can't do that. Like when I die, I can already feel that like the ability to take one more breath would be so amazing once you're dead. Like you'd be like, can I just take one more of those? That was fun. And the other day I was just thinking about something else too. I already forgot what it was. Just the simplest things in life, you know, like anyways, all this work is very rare to do. I only get, you know, a small window of time to do this. So let's do it together. So let's crank it up and start it up here. Yeah. Okay, with this one we're gonna make some 2x4s. So this is, we're gonna go we're logging. We're gonna go 2x4s. So this is, I need some 8-foot 2x4s, and this log was 18 feet long. And so I cut it in half, and I'm gonna do 2 9-foot sections and make a bunch of 2x4s. So first we're gonna shave the tops off to make it square. A lot of stuff goes wrong all the time, like a blade might get dull, or sometimes the blade pops off the machine, and a lot of other things goes wrong quite often. So hopefully while we're live here, nothing will go wrong and we'll be successful. at doing this here. This kind of board is like, I just cut the top, right? So I'll get 4 of these, and you can cut this thin, let it dry out in the sun and use it for kindling, but I get no more sun until next year, so I'll be putting it away for next year. But you can also cut them kind of thick, and then you can use them for like bushcraft building. Like when I build like wood sheds and stuff, I can use these caps as like walls for the wood shed and things like that, or siding for like outdoor structures and things like that. So then we gotta flip it and do the other side, okay? Yeah, rustic siding. Here we go, let's flip it. When I first was doing this, I would like bring the level out and I would level it and all that stuff, trying to get exact dimensions. I just eyeball it now. You guys want a different view on this one? I'll let you see from this way. Watch this. How many let you see here? I'll just hold it. Ready? Flip you around. Here we go. See, there's a battery-powered deal. I go like this with the button, and that's how I can dictate where the blade cuts. I'm gonna have it cut right there. And then we gotta get some water flowing. Water squirting out of there. Here we go. There's cut 2. Number 3. Number 4, here it comes. See if I can get you guys a better spot to look from here. Here we go. gonna decide what we do. So this is now a 8.5 by 9. So it's like an 8.5 by 9. So what I've been doing is, it's like 9 up and down. So I'm gonna take just a 1-inch bore at the top, like a 1-inch. I'll save that. I got a bunch of 1-inch guys I'm just putting aside, saving for later. And then I'll have an 8 by 8 basically. I'll just make a bunch of 2x4s. Okay? How many 2x4s can I make with an 8 by 8? There you go. That's from a tree to a nice 1-inch board right in front of you guys live. So this will be one of the boards that'll be our floor coming up, and I'll put all these floorboards on. Am I screaming right now? I can't hear. And then what we'll do is when I get everything in place, I'll have like one final day where I'll get a big floor sander and just floor sand the whole thing, and then we'll be living in there. So there you go. And you know, at the tropical property, we got a mill there as well, and we're mostly milling there strawberry guava and eucalyptus. And here it's mostly Doug fir and spruce and hemlock. So it's pretty fun to mill your own wood, and I feel that in today's world, you know, I wish I could make my own gas, because milling your own wood, you pay for the machine, and then once you pay for the machine, every board you rip after you produced enough wood to pay for the machine is profit. And then if, God forbid, I finish this house and I got nothing to do, I can then do fun projects with the mill, you know, or projects for neighbors or projects for family and things like that. And I can build fun things, like I would love to build some furniture, and I'd love to build like my own little forge for making knives. And then once the big house is done and we're in there, I would love to really trim everything up on the property and make it higher quality, you know. So for the rest of my 40s, I'll be just increasing the quality of everything once the infrastructure is done. Because the yurt is not infrastructure. We've lived in a yurt for 8 years. Yurt is not infrastructure. I feel like the yurt is a beautiful home to allow you to escape debt, and the yurt has been a beautiful home to allow us to birth a family, conceive the family, build skills, have comfort, experience nature. But if you're going to have a family, now we have 5 of us, a yurt is just 800 square feet of a yurt is not enough. So the yurt, really, I feel like the yurt was a bridge. For those of us that don't have family that allowed us to inherit a homestead, and the family didn't allow us to inherit wealth, and the family didn't allow us to inherit a house. And even if your parents are alive, I think most people in the first world countries these days are starting over with career, starting over with schooling, starting over with mortgage, starting over with everything. The yurt was a good way to bridge us into establishing a property and a home that's debt-free, so that we could be the grandparents for the future generations that allow them to be a little safer and more stable, so that they don't have to struggle in the same way that we did. They can go on and do more artistic and fun projects with their lives and their family. Maybe they can have families younger. Maybe they can have more family. Maybe they can do more things that Nicolle and I couldn't do, because we're laying the framework of a homestead. You know, that word homestead. I feel like my family is so Swedish. What if the Swedish people were never tempted by the American come to America, you know, in the 1800s, 1900s? What if the Swedes were not tempted by the American propaganda, and instead they stayed in Sweden and just built off their parents' ancestry? Would that be a better life? That's a good question for the comments. What do you think? All right, let's make some 2x4s. And I got almost 600 of you watching. Let's make some 2x4s. So now we have 8 inches and a little bit here, and 8 inches and a little bit here. So we're gonna just cut this in half and make 2 4-inch boards, and then flip it sideways, and then cut it going down and make 4 different 2-inch, but 8 2x4s out of this big post. But this big block is cool. Like, if you see the support columns on the house, each of these support columns is like a big, I think it's like a 10x10 or a 12x12, like a big giant support column on a concrete little footer, you know? So anyways, wait till we stain it. Wait till we paint it and stain it at the end. We're gonna move in there and then stain it and paint it while we're living in there. Anyways, let's get to work. Here we go, let's go over here. Also, let me talk to Bizarro World Jake, alternate reality Jake. If we are experiencing many different timelines at the same time, present, past, future, Jake, alternate Jake. If you ever lose your testosterone, or if you ever lose your mental, or you ever lose your physical, get back to ancient nature. Have babies, get a wife, build your own home, garden, go fishing, go hunting, try to create a life for yourself that doesn't involve money, and your mental, your spiritual, and your body will all naturally be the way God intended it to be, without the gym, without a therapist, and without any kind of pharmaceutical drug use. Almost messed up. This tank right here is full of water. And water is like the lubricant that squirts on the saw blade, and so that as the blade is passing through the tree, water kind of helps it be nice and slippery, you know, as you go through there. Big, like 9-foot 4x8. That's a big hunk of lumber right there, and then we're going to cut it up into 2x4s. It's kind of fun if you go to town and you go to like a lumber yard or like a big box store and you see all the wood there, and I grab it. It feels so light. It feels like the wood at the store these days. It feels kind of like the vegetables and the fruits feel from the grocery store. It feels like they're grown in nothing. Like most of the trees they're using for that lumber they're grown. They're genetically the same. They're planted by humans. They're grown in the same soil, and they're harvested over and over again. And so when you get some trees that have been out here on your property and you're clearing for a house and then using those trees to build the house and then using all the byproducts of those trees to heat your house and to do your compost and such, it's a great circle, and you feel like the wood is stronger. I can make real 2x4s. And I can make the wood whatever size I want to make the house stronger. And the wood just feels a little bit more like organic, like getting farm fresh produce versus grocery store non-organic produce. You know. That's how it feels to me, anyways. There we go. 2x4. more nice ones. The 9-foot 2x4s. Actually, I just had a thought. I've been cutting all the boards 16 feet because that's what I got the mill frame set up for, is 16 feet. I have a 4-foot extension, but I don't have it on right now. I keep cutting everything 16 feet. Why am I doing that? The shipping container is 9.5 feet tall. The roof, I need 2x4s that are 8 feet. Why am I just cutting things? If I keep cutting the trees 16 feet, I should cut everything 9.5 feet. So I should cut every tree I should cut every tree 18.5 feet, bring it over, and then cut every tree in half, and I should only be milling 9.5 footers, because then I won't have any waste. Thank you guys. You guys helped me with that. I'm gonna start doing that. My ego keeps making the 16-foot lumber because I got the 16 feet, but I shouldn't do that, because coming up, I need, over the next 3 days, I've got to cut 40 2x6s and 40 2x4s. And so I should make each one of them 9.5 feet. So there's no waste. No, the 2x6s need to be 13 feet. Okay, so if I'm doing 2x6s, I'm going to cut those at 13 feet. And if I'm doing 2x4s, I'm going to cut those at 9.5 feet. Thank you guys. Thank you. 大家谢谢大家。Whoa. All right, there we go, guys. More. And more. I have to be conscious too if I'm milling wood for like a hanger, like a metal hanger. You know, like sometimes you have little hangers for roofing or for for decking. It sits in a metal hanger. They're always built for modern day wood, which if you get a 2x4 from the store, it's actually 3.5 by 1.5. And the companies that mill it say that's because it shrinks when it goes to market. Scam. Same thing why those bubbles are in the bottom of the wine, and why prices keep going up a little bit, but portions keep getting smaller. You know, it's actually, they're trying to trick us. So I'm milling real 2x4. So if I'm doing framing, then I can mill it whatever I want. I can mill it like a real 2x4. But if I'm doing roofing and I'm putting it in metal hangers, then I do mill it 1.5 inches because it has to fit in the hanger. The hanger will make it stronger as a substructure. All right, let's see what we got here. So now we see our tractor is full of our lumber, 2x4s, some end caps, and a 1-inch board. And then I've got the next one over here to the side. This is the other half of the log, so we'll take this log and make 8 more 2x4s with that. That'll be next. And then if we go for a walk, come on for a walk, let's go. 700 of you. Got some happy chickens over here. There they are. Chicken coop, guest house. Or over there, really, guest house. And when we cleared for the chicken coop and the guest house, we cleared those trees there. This is a weird spot of the property. This entire ground here is like a mountain. It's like a big boulder. And so all of these trees are kind of, not all of them, but I would say half of the trees in this section were just dead. They grew up, and then they're maybe year 20, year 30, their roots hit that boulder and they just died. And so a lot of them were snapped off, so we downed them, and they were still really good for lumber and firewood. So we're taking the ones that we are thinking are really good, and we got a pile of them here. And these are all the ones that I'm picking up with the tractor and bringing over to the mill. So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 trees over here left to mill. And each of those will give me about 16 2x4s. What's 16 times 9? 90, 54, 144. 144 2x4s. That's way more than I need. So I need 40 2x4s and 40 2x6s. So I'm hoping I can get all that from that. And if we ever have to fall trees, the goal is to fall trees on this southern part. So if the container house is over there, we fall trees here, because that every time I fall a tree on that southern exposure, a little bit more sun comes on the container house, and that's what we need in this part of the world. We need more sun. All right, any questions out there? I built it from scratch, every bolt, every wire on there. I had some friends come and help me with certain parts of it, but I had to redo everything because it wasn't done right. Not that I don't love those friends, I appreciate the help, but when they left, I had to redo everything. So I kind of built it twice, you know. You can't rent something here, rent something. Like, if I rent something, by the time I get it here, the rental period is up. How am I supposed to do that? How are you supposed to rent this mill and bring it across the ocean to a boat access only place and then use it and then bring it back? You can't do that. Expenses of getting it here, renting the barge and getting to work would be cost prohibitive. You have to buy it. If you buy it, it's cool, because then you can use it, and I'm going to produce the wood for the. How much would it cost to buy the wood for the house? Okay, so the shipping container is the house, but you still have to frame out the bedrooms. You still have to frame out the roof extension. You still have to frame out the roof that the metal roofing sits on, okay? So the shipping container is the structural component of the house. So instead of a timber frame house, the shipping container is the house, okay? But you still have to build out the cuteness of the house. You have to build out the kitchen and the bathroom and the bedrooms, and that's done with lumber. Some of it's done with metal. Like we left some of the metal in there going. But how much would it cost to do these beams and do the frame for the roof and do all the framing for the bedrooms? You know, how much would that cost? Easily close to $100,000 of lumber. 2,500 square foot house, how much does it cost to frame it out? 6 figures. So if you buy the mill, you'll pay for the mill many times over if you're willing to do it yourself. Yeah, I still do martial arts. I don't have a 200-pound sparring partner right here at the moment, but I do miss that, and I would love that. Your miss, what does it say? Or your mill will pay for itself before you're done. Of course, the mill already is paid. Like the tractor, we got a tractor here and at the tropical location. They both have paid for themselves. The amount of bush clearing I've had to do. We've had the neighbor here that has the excavator help us with some things, but all the other things I'd use this tractor for. So like the tractor has paid for itself many times over, and the mill has paid for itself many times over. The wood chipper has paid for itself many times over, and what other machinery? Um, I think of like a car the same way, a vehicle. If you have a car or a vehicle, I really recommend getting a Toyota. There was a point when I would say only electric, get the Tesla, get the Prius electric. Or back in the day, I didn't say Prius. Back in the day, I said get the Leaf, the Nissan Leaf. And that was a big mistake to get the Leaf new because they depreciated so quickly. So it's a plus to get a Leaf now because a Leaf now you can get for $5,000, and you can charge it. If you can be really savvy, you should not plug your Nissan Leaf electric car into your outlet. You should put 2 solar panels outside and charge your Nissan Leaf with solar panels. And if you want to be really good, you should get a Toyota Prius or a Toyota Tacoma because Toyotas are built to go for 1,000,000 miles. And you should get a used 15-year-old Toyota of whatever kind, because if you get a 15 to 20-year-old Toyota that has 150,000 miles on it, the odds are, with minimal maintenance, you're going to have that car for a couple decades because it's going to be able to put 1,000,000 miles on it, and the Toyota will last forever. So while your friends all have car payments, and while your friends all are having a lot of expensive upkeep, you went with a Toyota, which is the car company that's supposed to be lasting, as a third world taxi cab for 1,000,000 miles. So if you use it just for work and for family, it's going to last a long time, and you're going to pay for it many times over. So that's why I have a 4Runner. That's why I have that's why I had a Prius when I first showed up here, and that's why I have a little Nissan Leaf running off a solar panel, and that's why I have a Toyota now. I think they're a really good car for people that are wanting a car but eco-friendly. And then the best thing you do is have no car and do a bicycle. If you're not having a homestead and you work for a company, then live close to your work and ride a bicycle for free. But I like having the farm. Shay Lee, yes, lots of new projects I like to do. But I can't talk about them right now because I have 3 kids under 3 years old, and I'm building this house, and then we're going to go build the tropical location house. So I'm 40 years old, and my goal for the next 2 years is to finish both houses completely so that when Fox is 5 years old and he starts having real memories, because like I can't remember anything, before the age of 5 or 6. And so the house that we lived in when I was very young, I don't remember, but I do remember the house I lived in from age 5 to age 11, and then the house from age 11 on. So I'm trying to finish both houses, this one first in the next month, and then the next one, the tropical one, so that by the time that the girls get to be Fox's age and Fox is 5, they just remember that those are the houses we always had. So I'm sacrificing anything that I'm interested in to build these 2 houses, and then I would love to start sailing and really use Appa, our sailboat, very, very much, and do a couple ocean crossings, especially like Pacific. I would love to sail to Mexico and then sail across the Pacific. Yep. So I'd like to sail. Yeah, Christy, I think that's my task right now is to set the great grandkids up so that like if let's say that if the twins or Fox at 20 years old wanted to get married and start having children, or at 19, that would be celebrated because we'd be like, wow, you're young, you're going to be healthy, perfect age to do kids, and you have this entire homestead and infrastructure, family infrastructure around you to help you be successful at raising your kids. Instead of like the way it is now for most people in the modern world, which is you educate yourself, you get a ton of debt for education, a ton of debt for mortgage, a ton of debt for your car, a ton of you start over again with your career. What's your career? Oh, I started over again. You know, like God forbid we should go into the parents' business. Look at all the elite people out there in the world. Everybody who's very wealthy and elite and has old money, everybody goes into the family business. Everybody kind of like, you know, understands that the family has set us up for success. And I think that's very powerful to recognize. And I would like to set up my family for success. You guys can go to the description here in the video, and you can follow Nicolle's social media. Check her out. She has some great posts. She has some sites out there you can join, but also like her Instagram. If you join Nicolle's Instagram, she just had a post recently go to 11 million views on some of the off-grid little short videos that we're filming out here. So check out Nicolle's Instagram. It's Nicolle Off-Grid with 2 L's, Nicolle Off-Grid, Nicolle Off-Grid on Instagram. Yeah, see, that's Christy is reading my mind. This is something that I am immersing myself in all the time. Brand new Toyota charges a monthly fee to use your own radio. Want to know how oil you have in your car? There's a fee to check. Buy used. Yes, Christy, this is going to be the new thing. I discovered a while ago, Shay Lee, good plan, living the dream. Thank you. I discovered a long time ago when I was running my own business in the martial arts. I was teaching Tai Chi and Qigong and Chinese Kung Fu for a living at my brick and mortar location in Arizona. And it was very good for business to get people on a 1-month membership that had an auto renew. So if you taught great classes and people wanted to take your classes, whether it's for fitness or for self-defense or for meditation, it's my job to make the classes extremely fun and traditional and meaningful and impactful so that you re-sign up every month, because the monthly fee keeps me in business. But then I also offered a 3-month or a 1-year membership for a little bit of a discount. And then there were extra classes you can get if you wanted that. But then YouTube comes along and video comes along, and people start. I remember very much that Netflix was kind of like the first thing that I can remember where instead of going to Blockbuster to get a video, you would order a DVD rental from Netflix. Because back then Netflix would send you a DVD in a little like beat up sleeve, and you would pay a monthly fee for that. That was the first time I remember paying something monthly, going, oh, you pay $10 a month or $5 a month, and you can get 3 rentals at a time. So you can rent 3 DVDs. They would send them to you. This is before Redbox. This is Netflix. They would send them to you, and then you could constantly send one back and have another one being sent for like that $5. $5 monthly. They know what they're doing. Okay? And so I started realizing, oh, if I take, so then I started, at a website, I made 700 martial arts videos, and you can sign up for my online martial arts training platform, and it's $10 a month. Well, if you get 1,000 people at $10 a month, you're making 6 figures a year for recurring billing. So I started realizing, wow, the world is creating this recurring billing thing. Well, now it's out of control. The cat is out of the bag. Everybody has realized this. So if Toyota is charging a monthly fee for the radio, or a monthly fee to read your engine, or there's monthly fee to watch sports, or there's monthly fee to, like I pay monthly fee to YouTube because I don't want to watch ads, and I want to be able to turn my phone off and listen to music or things when my phone is off. That costs YouTube Premium. That costs monthly. And so I do pay the YouTube monthly fee because I really don't want to watch ads. And it's very powerful for me to I don't want that manipulation of ads going in my eyes or in my kids' eyes. God forbid I show Fox, like I show him a fishing video, or I show him a video about elephants in the wild, or I show him, I love showing him the scene of Karate Kid where Miyagi teaches Daniel-san wax on and sand the floor. I don't want to have Fox watching ads when I'm showing him that, so I do pay monthly for that. But you have to be conscious of what's going on. You have to understand that if you buy a used car that's 15, 20 years old, that's a Toyota, it's going to last for 1 million miles if you take care of it, if you do tires and oil changes and air filter changes and battery changes. But it's not going to have any extra fees. Do that. Do it. It's very smart. And also, I love going in the ocean. I think it's really powerful to get out in nature for a long hike, and to go and dive in the ocean and be humbled by the ecosystem that's out there and catch your food face to face with a spear gun. I think that's really nice. Or get in your boat and go out and catch your salmon with a fishing line. My mom is like, Jacob, I can't believe you don't use oxygen. You don't use a tank when you go down there and do the fish. And I'm like, well, that, again, there's a monthly fee for that. It's also, not good for the fish to just sit down there for an hour and shoot them with a tank. A 2-minute breath hold, I'm up and down, 40 times in a session, and I'm at one with the fish like a dolphin. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I'm going to end this. I got to get to more wood, and I got to get this done today. So today I got to have all this wood done before dark, and then I have to start building. Should I go live tomorrow? And what I'll do tomorrow is I'll start taking off this crappy roof up here, and I'm going to throw it down and save it for the chicken. So the chicken coop just has an underlayment. So I'm going to take this shitty metal roof, and I'm going to cut it in half and put it on the chicken coop. And then the whole goal is to build this frame at a 30-degree pitch so I can put solar panels on it before it shows up in a few days from now on Tuesday. I have guaranteed there's a 0% chance of rain for the foreseeable forecast, which right now I can see as far as Wednesday. I'm hoping it'll go to Thursday, Friday as well, because let's see if I can do it. So if you guys want to hang with me, of course, I'll film all this in 4K for a full YouTube episode. So subscribe and go to our last episode. But these live videos, I'll try to do for a couple minutes per day if you want to see the progress. Interact in the comments. Give us a super chat. When I get a lot of super chats and donations and I get really amazing comments, it makes me want to do these lives more often. And while my mom is here helping with the kids as a good grandma, I can do these lives and I don't feel like I'm talking to you instead of Nicolle, which I should be over there. So, all right. Love you guys, and I'll see you the next live.